So before we begin with our individual presentation, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about why we decided to do this project. Number one, we all teach. It's a teaching in the classroom. So those of you who've been teaching, let's say 10 years so, you may have seen the changes going on in the classroom and also teaching practice. So for example, you will start seeing this more diverse group of students in your class. We also have a different level of motivation. Some students are highly motivated, some students are not so much. We also have students that come in and showing a different way of learning. So these elements really start getting impact on us. Then, probably about 10 years old, technology comes in. Technology, we start using more in the computers. Then, about 5 years, probably students start using their own cell phone to communicate with friends, with the family. So, learning environments start changing quite a bit for the last 5–10 years. So that could also create a class management which needs to be adjusted. Also, we have teaching approaches. So you've been teaching, you start seeing the different methods going to be introduced. You apply to the new approaches. And curriculum, and we having just introduced a different way of showing as a lesson plan. And also, because of the technology, we also start seeing a difference, a network with other teachers at the school or locally or regionally, even nationally. So teaching Japanese, teaching the classroom, used to be the teachers in the front, and we give it all the material to one-fits-all type of the material, and it doesn't really matter whether students are able to understand or not. We give them one way so they accept it the way we do. But probably 5–10 years, things start changing quite a bit. So we wanted to do something about it. We wanted to learn more about how we were able to reach out to the students. So during this first year, we have visited the different teachers' classroom, not only for the Japanese teachers, we also visited the different subjects. Same class, same school teachers. We also attended the different conferences, Google conference for the technology. We also attended the different language conferences. We kind of decided, and we have a 4 areas that we really wanted to focus on. So when we were studying about those four elements of teaching and learning, we find out this. It's called a PERTS. PERTS is the psychology project from Stanford University. So they do have actually mindset kit. So those of you interested in going to this, they actually have a good lesson plan. So they also have 3 elements of mindset, learning mindset. Number one, it is a growth mindset. I'm sure you heard about the growth mindset. So students coming in, people may think, oh, I don't understand. I don't like math. I'm not good at it. Fixed mindset. But students really need to be engaged and able to understand. Then they were able to understand their skill can be grown. So next one, we also learn about the belonging mindset. It is a learning environment. It is a sense of belongingness, really encourages students to learn more. Also, all the material, the curriculum, more purposeful and also the meaningful. So this is the website. By the way, this whole thing is going to be available to you after we finish it, so you are able to see everything they have. So it is a mindsetkit.org. They do have a greatest year lesson plan from Stanford University. We want you to look at it. So that's what we decided. So today you are going to hear 4 presentations. Number one, myself, and Tanaka Sensei is going to join us later. And we have Hosoi Sensei, and also we have Kobayashi Sensei. So I listed like this, all the 4 people. I guess I was hungry. It's like a dango. So, and I wasn't really having free time. I was pretty busy too. I started playing with myself. Oh, look at that. It's like a mitarashi dango. But actually the idea is really we have 4 different teachers from a total different background, and we were able to really working together. And after 1 year, we actually kind of happy to see this, what's going on. So that's what we're very excited about sharing this today with you. So number 1, I will start in my part first. I am going to talk about the curriculum. Curriculum, what is curriculum? So meaningful, relevant, and how do you motivate the students? So that's a blueprint. How do we create a blueprint to motivate the student? Then we have Kobayashi Sensei. After you finish the curriculum, now you need to make a lesson plan. How do you make a lesson plan? Based on what? So she's going to talk about integrated performance assessment. Integrated performance assessment, we have interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational skill. How do you incorporate all the stuff to share with the student so a student understand why they were doing this? Also, after Kobayashi Sensei, Hosoi Sensei are also going to talk about other ways to motivate the students to support the challenges, not only in class, also outside. After lunch, we have a Tanaka Sensei are going to talk about performance-based assessment. So we used to have a test and quiz and give them an ABC. That was the score that students used to receive. But how we were able to encourage the students to understand their skill. So that's what we are going to talk about it. So when we apply the Stanford University concept, all the curriculum have to encourage the growth mindset, sense of belongingness, have to be meaningful. Also the activity, same way, motivation, same way, actually performance also same way. So we try to integrate it, all the 3 parts about the growth mindset, how the students are able to learn and grow in 4 different aspects of learning and teaching. So that's what the schedule is today. After Tanaka Sensei's presentation, we have 1 hour left. We are going to have 4 groups, and we want you to, whatever you are interested, and you feel more about it, so whatever you think, oh, I think I like this area, or I don't know much about this area, we want you to just invite yourself. We have 4 different parts, and each group is going to work on the same goal. Number 1, we all going to understand the concept. We also expand our knowledge and the skill. And hopefully we have a time to discover the new approaches, more like a sample. That's what we like to do. Okay? So, I thought I'm going to finish my part. This is my part now. Thank you very much for being with me for another 20 minutes. So, my part is a curriculum. Let's say we're all busy for running for a daily operation. Almost like a night before, I've been working so hard. Oh my God, I gotta do this lesson plan. I gotta do this activity. I work on so hard. But sometimes I'm so good at it, and I make a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful activity. And yes, I made it. I made it right. Then next day, I get so excited about it, and I feel sharp. I feel very sharp to go. I can teach well. Students pay attention. Students are very happy, and we love you, Sensei. That's a good job. Sensei, you did a good job. Thank you very much. We were very happy about it. But everybody had that experience, right? Have a good activity, the kids get excited about it, but really think about 181 days. We do this every day. Sometimes we have a lot of papers to grade. Sometimes we have more paper to grade. And then we had more paper to grade. That's actually the reality. And I realized my job is not like a daily thinking about what to eat, what to feed for the night. I really need to develop this year my lesson plan very carefree so I don't need to get so frustrated, or sometimes I get too frustrated and I'm attacking my students because of my frustration. So I really need to clear my vision of it. My vision should be gradually reach out to my students' goal. So that was how I wanted to develop my curriculum. So that's the whole little story about what's going on myself. So I want to read this one very quickly. Somebody had this little article talking about Oh, I've been using textbook for a long time. Now I am going to do making a lesson plan. Do you know that how long ago this person submitted this article? Is it 2000? 1990? 1980? What do you think? She realized she had to make a lesson plan that actually she enjoys so much. This is actually ASCD article. It's 1993. So over 20 years ago, somebody was told, hey, you have to make a curriculum. You teacher, you have to make a curriculum. Then actually 20 years ago, they did have a pretty cool outline when I did my research. Oh, actually what we do right now and what they were talking about 20 years ago, not so much different. So my question for the last 20 years, so what's going on for the last 20 years? Are we doing the same thing, or we haven't found a solution, or is it something kind of ongoing process that we need to know? So you just showed this one earlier. In order to make the teaching and learning right for our students, these aspects, and here the curriculum, but actually in order to make a curriculum, in order to develop the curriculum, we all need to consider these elements, so we were able to create this well-written and well-thought curriculum. It's called a purposeful learning. I needed to think about one more time about the purposeful learning. So here's one of the essential questions I want you to think about it today. You all teachers, you teach well, but sometimes you wonder, hey, what my students really need? Especially in order to succeed, not only in your class, succeed in school, participate well in the society, what do they need? Especially from my class. So I want you to think about this today. So that was exactly the same question I had for a long time. So what was my students' need? Am I just a language teacher giving the hiragana and the katakana, giving the vocabulary tests and then giving the quiz? Or am I educator for the whole child education? That was one of the things I've been thinking about it, because students always talking about, what's my quiz, what's my score? They're asking me about the score, but am I just a language teacher? Am I something different? That was a question number one that I have. Also, I tried to make it up to date, but is this relevant? Is it enough? Is this really this thing going on in my classroom? Is it a meaningful or maybe not so purposeful that I wanted to think about one more time? Also, what is actually the learning? That's something I really need to think about it. How do we design the learning? So, design the curriculum, re-image education. Re-image means like a clean up all your software and put it in the new software. So, I wanted to think about this, again, design learning is like building up the car or designing the shirts. When you build up the car, you need to think about who's driving, how far, design, the color. Not only about you build the car, you also think about the consumer. Same thing for the shirt. What kind of activity that my consumer enjoy wearing it? What kind of pants or shirts they like to coordinate? So design curriculum is just like a design the shirts or car so they can talk about it. So several years ago, I started cleaning up my curriculum. Then, remember about 10 years ago, we started talking about 21st century skill. Then you have been to all the workshop. Workshop always tells me all communication, collaboration, reflection that you need to know. Also, they talk about critical thinking that are important part, real meaning important part. So when I think about these things, what's really student really need to have it? And my own answer was self-discovery. Students really need to understand about themselves, and they were able to find out their own interests, their own need. So this is my focus for the last several years when I was creating this curriculum. So, purposeful learning. I learned about this, probably most of you are familiar with. All the workshop telling me this. I've been learning the same way. Then, here's my students. But when I see my students, I really don't think that my students really interested in what am I doing. Maybe academic experience they're missing. Maybe they are too shy about it. Or maybe just like they just don't know how to study about anything. I wasn't really sure. So when I look at this, I didn't know where's my students and what is the actual outcome that help my students for the future. Also, am I really helping students to understand what's going on and understand the world in a different way so the students are able to become more independent? And these are entire questions that I had in my teaching career. And this is something I've been thinking last few years, really. And about a year ago, this is my former students from 1995 when I started teaching, and that was the first, second year. I met him at the restaurant. My partner and I we were eating. This guy came up and showed up and said, "Hey, sensei!" Loud. Can't you tell he was so loud? And he hugged me so, and then, oh my God, I haven't seen you for 20-something, 5 years. Then we were chit-chatting, and he said to me, "Oh, 日本語のクラスは楽しかった." That's what he told me. And I said, "Hey, did you study Japanese? Did you continue learning Japanese?" "Nope." "Did you go to college?" "Nope." So I was wondering, hey, this guy, 25 years ago, learned so much. I wasn't sure that time he learned that much, but actually he still remembered after 25 years. So I kind of trying to see what I remember 25 years ago, how I taught. I was at the lowest performing school in this school district. Students have a lot of problems about this, social issue, family issue. So everybody say, "Oh, I enjoyed being in school so I can be away from the reality." That was the answer. So really tough school that I was teaching 25 years ago. Then I couldn't really use the textbook say, "Hey, do this, do this, do this." So instead, I needed to do, how do I engage students, gain more confidence, community involvement, and leadership skills? So that time, we didn't have a textbook, so I said interdisciplinary project. So we decided to go into the project for do this, do this, do this. So students are able to actually doing something in Japanese. Then they were able to build up the personal skill. As a matter of fact, he was telling me every time he was eating something, これは何々です、これは何々です. So he was telling to so many friends and family, they don't even understand the Japanese. But that was his self-satisfaction for knowing Japanese. So that was actually, he told me about this, he really enjoyed, not only for the learning Japanese, he was able to do something to be part of the community. So I kind of realized, last year, maybe my vision really needs to make it clear. So this is a flyer from a school. He said, "Your vision makes the decision." It is true. I really kind of realized my vision was really clear. Then what is my vision for right now? Number one, empathy. Emphasize it. And how to be relevant, how to be meaningful, and how to be more fun. So I realized that during the summertime, and I started changing my curriculum. So I started changing my curriculum for this semester. Last semester was too late to change it. I was too busy. So I started changing my curriculum. Then one of the things I decided to do, number one, learning experience in the classroom, not only for what I do, setting, everything, environment, culture, how do we set up this chair, how do we make it a group work, how do we give them a feedback, how do the grading. I wanted to make sure I know exactly what's going on for this part as a part of the curriculum. I don't want to have the curriculum first, then think about the design for other part of it. Make sure that experience they do, all kind of scenario I wanted to think about in the classroom. Also, emphasis in the curriculum, make sure students are able to understand what if. Students are able to think about challenge the assumption. I want them to challenge the assumption and say, hey, people say this. How about this? How about that? Always think about different perspective. The curriculum should be meaningful, purposeful, and relevant. We also wanted to make sure innovative process. Not only using a technology, we also wanted to share. So when you share stuff with your friends and other people, they get more excited. So I wanted to make sure that goes to the curriculum. And this was my weakest part of it. I do something and I get busy and I didn't quit, but I forgot about it for a long time. So I wanted to make sure everything I do for the language development is consistent. So that's how I made it. So I'm sure you're familiar with how to build the curriculum. This is the understanding, this is the base that I did. Then I made an assessment, a 5-step, and a vocabulary that did. So, what? I know, you don't need to read this whole thing. It's available in the website. So anyway, this was my 3rd year students. They just finished their home stay in Osaka. We study about the different type of the cultural exchanges. So empathy was really part of it. I wanted to make sure all of it is related. But actually these are 5C standards we always see. Act for book, we always read like a Bible. Never say a word, say empathy. Never. But isn't it empathy is really connected to everything we talk and we teach? But unfortunately, I don't know why, but Act 4 never use a word for the empathy. So I wanted to make sure whatever we do, able to communicate why they're communicating and culture, everything. So that's what I did. So I have so many things that I wanted to show, but these are all the sample tasks they did. So one of the things is this one, Homestay Story. They made a manga, Kisho Tenketsu style. So just to quickly show you what it is. So my students study so many different parts of the daily life in Japan. And we was talking about the recycle and able to, not only for what the Japanese people do, they also need to think about, again, alternate. Is this the challenge, is the assumption? What about it? What about this? What about that? So actually this student did a good job for understanding. Especially I was kind of interested in what he said about a kasa. You know the Japanese people, no matter what, they always use a kasa. Then he was talking about, he studied quite a bit. He said, well, だったら私も傘を使おう。変になりたくない。So in Japan, if you do something different from anybody else, people look at you and say, you're ちょっと strange. Hen. So he doesn't feel like he needs it, but he starts seeing the people using it. That's how the Japanese people think. So that's his conclusion and interpretation in the Japanese culture. Also, title says 一人では. I want to look at it here. 一人では is a title. This one, 4番風呂. I guess he's the 4th person to get on. So he was talking about, yeah, the Japanese, I learned about how the Japanese people take, but actually when you really think about it, Okasan also took this ofuro. Then it was kind of weird for him to, from his American perspective. So I do this kind of emphasis focused topics and meaningful outcome. These are also available on the website. We also finished the 2nd year students. We finished my town, San Francisco, Osaka. We also study about how the students are getting involved with the concern, local concern, community concern, trash, homeless. We want them to actually talk. So that's one of the things we did. Also, another, we just finished this ones too. We have a lot of Japanese Americans in San Francisco. We wanted to make sure not everybody happy about this, what's going on. So we wanted to kind of cheer them up. So we started a little bit of different activities, and we talked to the Japanese American citizens here. So they were actually very pleased to see this, what my students did in the past. So you see this one on the website as well. So this afternoon, I want to talk about this again. What do students need to develop the skill? Then, what are elements needed to be considered when you design? And this is my example, but not necessarily applied to you. Because again, your students are different from mine, your areas are different from mine. So, if we have a time, we'd like to do this blueprint as well. Okay, but thank you very much. It's my end of my part.